come to individuals. Now. Let's talk about individuals. I'm going to start with Swanky, for instance. Swanky, in my view, this is my personal view, Swanky, in my view, is the undisputed king of fashion. The undisputed king of styling. And I know Swanky personally. There's something that is off in season 2 that was on in season 1. I don't know if they told him, Swanky, for you to stay in the show, you need to switch a bit and become something that you are not, or become something that you are. Because in season 2, I feel he is overly, unnecessarily dramatic.
Absolutely agree with Somizi on this one. Hello Mzansi, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we'll be reviewing the Young, Famous and African season 2, which just premiered on Friday. Somizi is right in saying that he was being unnecessarily extra. For example, and Annie said it in the last episode of the season. I think that's episode 9. Annie actually said it when she's speaking to her husband, and she's saying, what right does Swanky have to approach my husband? He's letting things get too much to his head. And then there's the event that Swanky didn't include Annie in, and hence the reason for their big breakup, which I understood, which they finally ironed out at the last season. However, prior to that, he's so unnecessarily dramatic with Louis from Namibia, who's the extra edition or the newest addition to this season. So yeah, I agree with Somizi on that point. Absolutely spot on.
That TV can do that, and I'm speaking from a person who's on TV, who does TV, and this is what I've always refused in my reality show, to be made to be something that I'm not. Now, the disadvantage with this show in particular, is that the talent they have no control over how it's going to be edited. Netflix decides what is going to be put on and what's not. So Netflix can do whatever they want. They can push their own narrative. They have no control. Versus shows like Living the Dream with Somizi, Being Bonang, Kelly Kumaro, and so forth. I sit in the edit. I'm the executive producer. I sit in the edit suite and go, this one must fly, this one must go on, this one must da 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 da. So unfortunately for them, they have no control, which is why it's very important for them, okay, I don't know Fantana, for them to be careful how they project and portray themselves.
You know, Somizi is dropping nuggets after nuggets. This was a live that he did Sunday afternoon, and this is a live that he did after he only watched 20 minutes of the first episode of season 2, Young, Famous and African, and the points that he's making are actually showing his age and showing his experience in the industry, and those cast members can actually learn from him and the nuggets that he's dropping. He mentions that they needed to be careful because they are not the executive producers of the show. The executive producers are Netflix, and Netflix chooses what goes on. We see with Sari posting her rage as it comes to Diamond, because she got to watch this show same time with us when it premiered, and she is so upset with Diamond and how he is using her in terms of the relationship, or talking about her with his relationship with Fantana, which Sari is absolutely upset, as apparently it looks like there's now an implication on the marriage. I'm going to link that video up here in the cards. But let's get back to what Somizi said, the point that he made, which is absolutely valid, especially for African artists. I think that they get too carried away with, hey, Netflix sign me up, or I'm on a Netflix series, that they're not particularly paying attention to what impact this would have on their brands. And if you go to Bonang's Instagram, Queen B, you will notice that she has not posted anything about young, famous, and African. And that's a huge indicator, because she's queen of branding as well. That's a huge indicator that there was an issue with Netflix, whether there was a contractual obligation or a payment issue. Don't know what the issue is. Obviously, they have NDAs of the NDAs, but there's something there with the Bonang story, because why isn't she posting it to her Instagram? Why isn't it in her stories? However, watch her stories. She's very much conscious that people are going to be checking her out. So she's putting her brands in her story so that people see all the other things that she's working on. So kudos to Queen B for that one. That's a big marketing and branding thing that African artists need to pay close attention to. Meanwhile, let's get back to what the point that Somizi made, and we see it here with Khanyi Mbau taking to Instagram to post the following, and it reads, "I finally saw young, famous, and African." So that's the first indicator that they have no control of what is being posted or any prior preview ahead of time. They just do the B-roll and then they cut them a check, exactly as Somizi said. So let me get back to what she said. "I finally saw young, famous, and African. Contrary to popular belief, we do not see the show till it is released to the public, so we are essentially just as surprised as the public." It was a very, very hard, painful watch for me. It triggered me so much. During filming, I was not well, and you see that most scenes she's wearing gloves. I believe something is going on there with her skin and skin lightening process. But asikolapa, let's get back to what she's saying. "I was diagnosed with burnout ME in February, meaning I have been struggling for 14 months during production. Filming was incredibly hard. I watched the show with one eye open. It was painful. I saw the bad state I was in. I struggled with my speech most of the time and had zoned out 90% of the time." Guys, comment below. Do you notice this? Or do you feel that Khanyi is making excuses for her role in the show? She goes on to say, "The show is so dramatic. Oh my God. How did I live through this? The editors are messy and very spicy. Reality TV, ne?" And then she tags the production company, Urban Brew Studios. "Sadly, the editor made me the villain again, editing out pivotal moments that give clarity and deleting real scenes that shared the visuals of my real world. For example, our children." No, we did not see Khanyi's children anywhere. "The cuts and pastes of scenes and the order is completely wrong and made to fit a certain narrative. I let things slide last season, treated it as a show business, but my kind nature is setting me up for failure in a very bad way. To our diehards and day ones, thank you for waiting and staying with us regardless. Hope you all got to see the show. And all your faves again, young, famous, and African." So basically, I feel like, okay, some scenes were cut out. She doesn't really specify which scenes were cut out. But her role, I'm not sure why she feels she has to go on the defensive. I just want to know, how come Kudzi didn't show up in any scene of the show? And now she has announced, they didn't quite announce, but it seems that the two are no longer together, because we do see Kudzi on IG posting all on his own, and all posts of Khanyi have been deleted. Same thing on her end. She has deleted all posts with Kudzi in them. So we get that just can only allude that they have since broken up. And also in the show, he doesn't feature at all, and no mention of him. He was, if at all he was ever there, he was completely edited out. But hey, as she said, the editors are messy. So yeah, let's get back to Somizi.
So you have no control how they put you, how they portray you. Hence, I felt that about Swanky. I felt like it's either they're making him a villain or a bitch, or he is dead. I don't know. I only know Swanky was, hi, how are you? And I admire his work, and that's it. Then we go to Khanyi. Khanyi, for me, is in the middle. I know Khanyi very, very well. Khanyi can be sneaky, Khanyi can be snaky, but also Khanyi can be brutally honest. Khanyi says what she sees, and Khanyi says things that most of us are uncomfortable to say but are thinking about. That's what I love about Khanyi. She can be very brutally honest with Khanyi. I felt that she overreacted. That scene, Louis, she was rude to Louis, and Louis was being a gentleman, and her and Swanky, they really reached. They tried to make something out of nothing. Have to do with her and the production house, but not the people in the show. So even Netflix could have done that to protect themselves or to make the cast look bad. It's between Netflix and Bonang that the thing did not, the relationship did not go well, and then they make it look, because now they have to explain why did Bonang leave. It has to be in the story.
To a different location, so that was quite stressful. So
it rained. It wasn't because I didn't have flowers.
No, it rained. Yeah.
But you can also throw tantrums.
So I apologize. I sincerely apologize.
Oh, you sincerely apologize. So it wasn't my fault.
It wasn't your fault, not at all. It was never your fault.
But you said because I left because I had no flowers.
Swanky hears what Swanky wants to hear. It seems like he's given Bonang the wrong story and twisted the whole thing. It was absolutely my fault, 100%.
The rain.
It was the rain.
Louis mustn't come here, come on. You know? No.
No idea.
Ooh, must we be worried? I don't know. I don't like Louis. He talks too much.
Kill me.
And also, I don't like men with muscles.
You just say that.
And he's a liar.
By the event.
Yes, and now I'm sorry it was the rain. It wasn't you.
So why did you fix it? Why didn't you talk about it?
I don't have energy to discuss things with the people that book me. Don't lie about me because I'm a celebrity or whatever you think I am, like you see me on TV. That's not right. It gives people such a wrong impression. I did not walk out from the event, actually.
Ooh, where have you been?
There's a fire over there.
Doing what? Getting cozy?
Because if Bonang left because of the cast, trust me, Bonang was going to come back and live on TV to make sure the reason why she left is because of people in the cast. Because Netflix controls everything, they did it in a way, this is my perception, they did it in a way that it looks like the cast were uncomfortable, they were skittering about her and blah, 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 blah. That's why she left. Bonang is too smart to live for something stupid like that. Bonang knows her bread and butter, where it's buttered, where her bread is buttered. She is very smart, that girl. That girl is business-minded. She would never, in my view, I've known Bonang for the longest time. Bonang would never literally leave because of someone else. Most of the time, she leaves because there were contractual obligations that were not met, or there were clashes, or things did not go the way she wanted them to go in terms of the production. Do you understand? So now they make Khanyi look like she's the villain by saying things like that. Part of it was she was right. And because they are talking about your favorite, you would never accept it. Sometimes your favorite can be out of line. Now let's go back to Bonang regarding the Louis thing. There's a part of me when I watched that scene, I was like, I don't think Bonang should have taken this contract. But again, I get it why she would take it, because that platform gives you access to a new audience. That platform gives you access to bigger numbers and to different countries. Netflix is global. So she took it based on that. But from what I saw, and I thought Bonang is smarter than that in terms of knowing exactly what to do, what to say, and what not to say on TV. I think her emotions got the better of it, because Bonang is able to give you what Bonang wants to give you. But this time, I was also shocked. Bonang does and says that on TV. Something is digging deep. Because that's now going to live with her for the rest of her career and her life. She'll forever be reminded that she fucked the biggest whatever stars in the continent. should ever be remembered for saying "Ngangijwayela Masimba." Not that she doesn't say that, but you know, there's certain brands that they control. Beyonce probably says FUs and this and this and this and this and this, but she knows where to say them and when to say them and who not to say them to. And I felt this time Netflix also did her dirty. I think it did her dirty because one thing we will never take away from people like Bonang is the power they have, the power they hold. She is one of the anointed. She's got a halo. When she walks into the room shines. When she walks into the room feels her presence. She's got presence that will never be denied. So when you have that kind of presence, know when to use it and when not to use it, and know what to say and know what not to say, know where to go and know where not to go. But the actual episode, I only watched like 20 minutes of it. So I felt like also Netflix did her dirty because just to show how powerful Bonang is. Bonang left the show way back. They knew. She left the show when they first started shooting. If Bonang was not that powerful, they would never have added her scenes on the show. If Bonang was not that powerful, they would never have used her on the trailer, because that trailer said the queen is back and the numbers went through. We are waiting for the queen. Even myself, I'm like, yes. Now that, when we talk about young, famous and African, if you can't describe, if someone asks you what does the word Bonang means, it means young, famous and African. I said bingo, bingo. So if Bonang was not that powerful, Netflix was not going to use her on the trailer. If Bonang was not that powerful, Netflix would not have used her scenes on the show. They could have edited them out and trust me, please answer me this. If it was some of the cast members that left the show before the show ended, do you think Netflix was going to use them? I doubt. That tells you how powerful Bonang is. But does Bonang know when and how to use her power? I don't know. And I don't think so. You understand? So I felt that she overreacted. That singer Louis, she was rude to Louis, and Louis was being a gentleman, and her and Swanky, they really reached. They tried to make something out of nothing. And that for me was like,
I mean, regardless of, Somizi's past or what has happened in Somizi's personal life, one thing that he demonstrated throughout this life is his expertise and that he knows what he's talking about and he knows the industry. But I'm also going to throw this out there. He also did say that he would also cast for the show, except the only thing that he isn't young. So we know Somizi recently turned 50 years, I think, this year. So he says that he doesn't qualify to be a cast member of Young, Famous and African. But my question to you is, Annie and Tubaba, how old are they? And would it be such a bad idea to have Somizi casting there? I think it would bring a lot of drama. I think he would give Swanky a run for his fashion statements. I think they would be at par. If not, it would really be a fashion runway. It would really be a showdown. Comment down below, Swanky or Somizi, who has your vote? And also for our international audience, comment down below where you're watching us from. Also, if you have made it this far in the video, please drop a like, a comment, even if it's just a flag emoji. Let us know where in Africa you are. Young, Famous and African, kudos to you. Definitely incorporated more flags. Of course, we have South Africa, La Mzansi, Nigeria, represented by Annie and her husband. I'll do a separate video for those two. They deserve their own video. Also Swanky as well, Nigeria. And then we have Sari the Boss Lady, that's Uganda. diamond platinums or platinum diamonds. That's Tanzania. South Africa and Tanzania, we keep intertwining. Apparent abduction of Dr. Nandi Pamagudumana from Tanzania. She's calling it an abduction and not a deportation, extradition. Anyway, Asikolapa, let's get back to the show. We also have, I guess, Nadia Nakai, Zimbabwe. I'm not too sure her origin. And then we have Namibia, Lantana, because she is African American, so she was born in America but moved to Ghana. And I believe they brought her in for both the African American element and also the Ghana element. So she brings in that African flair by being Ghana. But let's be honest, nothing about her speaks Ghana. It's screaming a lot of African American, and I think they did that to bring in the African American viewers. And interesting enough, she's in Ghana, and Ghana right now has a huge diaspora program for African Americans migrating to the continent. So I think that was a play on an audience there to create an audience, a larger audience base for Young, Famous, and African. Let me know if I forgot anyone else. Please remember to share the video. Was Young, Famous, and African a hit for you? Thanks for watching.